You are listening to the Kelly Confidential podcast with Kelly Wilkes. This is episode 31. Welcome to the Kelly Confidential Show, where we talk negotiation essentials and those crucial conversations empowering extraordinary women. Real women, real issues. Let's jump in. Hey, welcome back, friends. Thanks for being here. This week, I'm honored to host retired military sergeant Gina Atkinson. This is a special two-part double episode, and I'm quite chuffed to have Gina back on the show. You may remember Gina's name. Well, she was on our show a year ago to promote a harrowing 300-mile solo trek across Scotland that she was doing for charity fundraising. What some of you may not know is that early in that journey, the first leg of that journey, in fact, Gina had a terrible accident, which meant her original trek ended that day. But I'll let her share more on that in a moment. And being a military veteran, Gina may have been down for the count for a bit, but she was definitely not out of the fight. I've had the pleasure, and I'll admit it, a bit of awe, in knowing Gina personally for a number of years, and she is unlike most women you will ever meet. She is ambitious, focused, disciplined, formidable really, all wrapped up with tireless empathy for others, something I think women sometimes feel pressure to hide, but not Gina. And she's back at it. A week ago, she restarted her 300-mile solo trek across Scotland. She joins us today having finished her first leg of the trek, 98 miles of walking the Scottish Highlands, and we're about to hear how it's going. Before I tee that up, here are a couple of anchor points in Gina's life. Gina joined the military in 1995, and after 11 years, some harrowing tours, busted up knees, and a bad back, she decided in 2006 that it was time to leave. In the final month of duty, she had been asked to go to Kandahar, Afghanistan for a final mission. But as she was due to leave soon, the operation was optional for her. So she respectfully declined to take part as she knew she was leaving and was about to embark on a new career. Tragically, the RAF reconnaissance aircraft she was due to be on suffered an in-flight fire, and it crashed. All 14 crew members, including one of Gina's colleagues, died in that crash. But determined to keep her promise to herself, Gina left the military and took her skills and experience into people protection and surveillance. That jump paid off, as at the height of her new career, she was working in America, traveling across the states, doing close protection for a high-profile celebrity, which would be the enabler for when she returned to the UK and set up her own security company, a business protecting MOD ships that remains in operation today. Fast forward 18 years, Gina has funneled her energies outward to those that need it the most. She has spent the last several years working tirelessly for others, supporting a number of veterans charities, among others. This challenge, the one we're going to talk about today, the most grueling of all the endurance trials she's completed since leaving the military, will see Gina take on an 100-mile trek, a week-long kayak, that's a lot, a week-long kayak through the Great Glen, and a 3-day cycle route across Scotland. 3 weeks, 300 miles, all solo and all unsupported. And in addition to the daily physical challenges, Gina will be sleeping in a tent and carrying all of her food and supplies in a backpack for the entire journey. Her aim? It is to complete all of this within 3 weeks to raise awareness and raise money for 3 charities. These are ACT UK, SSAFA, and Woody's Lodge. Want to hear more? Let's jump in. Greetings, friends. In today's episode, I'm honored to host veteran military sergeant, avid sportswoman, book publisher, and unstoppable charity fundraiser, Gina Atkinson, who shares with us a glimpse into her latest charity mission, how this mission first started and ended in a major hiking accident a year ago, resulting in a trip to A&E, 3 broken bones, and she was ultimately detoured another year before she was recovered enough to try it again. And she's with us today. I'm delighted to have you back on our show. It's been a year. Can you believe it?
Hi, Kelly. Thank you. Well, thanks for having me back. Yeah, great.
And what a year. The last time we spoke, you had just started on one of your charity treks, your Freedom Challenge, solo challenge, 300 miles across Scotland. And you were unable to finish it because of an accident. And now you're picking up and doing another 300 trek, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. But let's go back a year. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so Scotland 300 it's the same I'm doing this year. So 100 miles hiking, 100 miles kayaking, 100 miles cycling, all solo, unsupported across Scotland. And I was 50 miles in. Obviously, I was carrying my full kit, so it was about 15 to 20 kilos of kit. And 50 miles in, I stumbled and decided to pop my elbow off, dislocating it, breaking my arm in 3 places, dislocating my collarbone as well, and badly sprained ankle and split my head open. So yeah, it was pretty game over.
Oh my God.
I had no choice really to extract myself off the mountain and get medical attention.
That is just insane. And I mean, how did you get out of there? Did you walk out, and how did you get help?
Yeah, I had to. I walked to the nearest road, and then luckily a mountain biker went past and said, "Do you need help?" And I said no, and I off a little bit. Bearing in mind, I was bleeding quite a lot, and
Oh
he
my
said
God.
off a bit, and then he came back and went, "Are you sure?" And I went, "Actually, no. I think I need to go to A&E."
Oh my God.
Luckily, his car was only sort of 5 miles away, so he cycled back, and he bless him, he was amazing, and he gave me a lift to A&E. The nurse in A&E after the X-ray couldn't believe I was not screaming out in pain, because they couldn't believe that I'd dislocated my elbow. And then I had to be transferred to Glasgow, where they popped it back in. So
Oh, gross.
yeah, which wasn't the best. No, yeah.
And I can't believe you were going to let that guy carry on cycling. You were like, oh no, I'm fine. Thank goodness, though, he stopped and he had the sense to come back.
Yeah.
So, what happened after your accident? I mean, it was quite a bad one. What did you do next?
Yeah. So I mean, I had to get home, which was interesting, and I had to leave all my van and all my kit up in Scotland. So I went home, made sure I didn't 100% need surgery, which it was 50-50. It was up to me really if I wanted surgery. So I opted not to have surgery because it's just a quicker recovery. And then I just pretty much had physio, tried to get better by in the gym once I could move my arm and stuff. I still completed the 300 miles just locally in a sling, because I'd done that for charity. And and then from there, just sort of tried to build my arm back up. And then when I started getting a bit better, started doing some low level stuff for charity, like the 13 bridges for Safa and
Wow.
30 free a day for other charities. So yeah, I built myself up slowly into it, really.
Just getting your strength back and
yeah. So my arm's still not right. It'll never be straight again. But it could have been a lot worse. I think I'm a better option for it, really. So yeah. So that was pretty much it.
That's a lot. That is a lot. And what arm was it again? Was it your right arm or your left
Yeah,
arm?
it was my right arm. So,
Oh no.
luckily I don't do a lot of writing. So,
But still, like I just can't even imagine that. That's very debilitating.
yeah, it was a fair bit. I mean, eventually when I could drive again, the cast came off. I drove back to Glasgow to get my kayak and my bike and stuff. So, yeah, it was
That's a lot.
a long process, really.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Especially because
And
it takes so long to, plan everything. It takes, it's a bit like an iceberg. The planning below it is the major part of it, really, than
yeah.
doing training and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a great segue because I mean, and so many other things have happened this year as well. And I'll come back to that because I think you've been honored for your service. And I definitely want to come back to that. But you have decided to do this trek again. And you are a week now into your 300-mile trek across Scotland again. Tell us about the 3 segments of this trek. What each of those weeks looks like, and what will it look like? Tell us a little bit about that and all of the planning that you've had to do to prepare.
So I've just finished today the West Highland Way, which is about 98 miles, but I did do a bit of extra when you walked into town and stuff. So I've hit my first 100, and that's the classic route from Glasgow to Fort William, and that is because of the weather and the amount of days we did it, and it was pretty brutal, really. To be fair, because the weather has a lot to do with it. The second stage is the Great Glen, and that is from Fort William to Inverness, and that encompasses Loch Ness, which is obviously one of the biggest bodies of water in the UK.
But beautiful, I'm sure.
And then when I get to Inverness, I swap out my my kayak for a bike, and then I cycle back to the start line, if you like, and then that's me. I pick up all my kit and trundle off home. Job
You
done.
make it sound so easy. You're like, yeah, and that's it, all done. But it's a huge amount of physical work, trekking and kayaking and cycling, but also mentally, it's a huge amount of planning, because you've had to plan your pack, I imagine, and drop off points and pick up points. And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was up here the week earlier, dropping off my kit in the various locations, and making sure that each bag drop that I've left at the locations has got the right kit in there, if you like. So that's the only part where I'm supported, is just where I pick up my kit, to be honest.
Because you're otherwise totally alone, aren't you? You're this is a solo challenge.
Yeah, and the biggest thing really as well is of an evening with the cold, and just getting, because my kit has been wet every day, so there's been dry it. We've had no leeway with the weather, so it's kind of been having a strict sort of evening routine, no matter how exhausted you are. And I think that's from any sort of expedition. I mean, I know people only see, big expeditions in Antarctica or wherever as something big, but at the end of the day, the Royal Marine Commandos still train up here, and there's a reason for it, because it can be brutal. Last night it would have been in its minus, because when I woke up at 6, it was 7, it was 1 degree. So
oh my god, that's cold.
Yeah, the mountains had snow on the top of them, so it's pretty punishing up in Scotland at times. That's for sure. So I think
Gosh.
that one thing is the strict regime. No matter how knackered you are when you finish or decide to finish, to make sure you do your admin. You try to eat. I'm quite bad at that, eating, because you just want to sort of relax and sleep and get warm. But fuel is one of the biggest things. So it's sticking to a routine and sticking to the plan as well. So the first week, on the first day, I wanted to go further, and the second day I wanted to go further, but I stuck to the plan and didn't, just because there was a reason I planned it in a sterile room, because and it worked out well, really, because the later stages, you were not only tired, they were harder. So yeah,
Yeah.
so well.
And this is where your military training is probably paying huge dividends.
Yeah, I think so. Because we can be quite disciplined, and we know. I think everybody knows that. Particularly, you might not want to, put your wet kit on in the morning, but if you put your dry kit on in the morning, then what are you going to get into overnight?
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah. God, just the idea of getting up cold to begin with and then having to put on cold, wet gear.
yeah, it's not the
And
nice.
you're doing that every day for 3 weeks. That just sounds miserable. Never mind all of the trekking and the no.
Yeah, there is moments of joy out there. I could do
Well,
someone turning the weather off though, and sending me some sun.
yes, yeah. And so you're at the end of your first week. So what have these first 6-7 days been like? What were the best parts and what were the worst parts? Tell us a little bit about what this first week was like.
I think the best parts was definitely the people you meet along the way. It's quite a popular trail. The it's the season's only just really started, so you've got the hardened walkers who've started now, who want to get it over with before the midges come out and before the crowds of tourists come out. And it was the fact that you weren't traveling with each other, but you were seeing the same sort of people each day.
Oh,
and,
nice. That's
and
nice.
it was nice. So, like, I the West Highland Way was brilliant for the fact that there was loads of stops along the way and honesty box along the way, so I didn't really need to resupply with food. So
Oh, that's amazing.
and it was, I think, the camaraderie and the people you met was definitely the best bits, because we were all going through the same rubbish weather, and then we'd see each other and we'd be like, oh my god, that was horrendous. And it was, yes, it was like the worst. I didn't think it'd be that bad. And it was just nice to have, that connection. Really, that was definitely the best bit.
Yeah. Gosh, I can imagine bumping into people, especially when you're out there for hours, and maybe not seeing anybody potentially, but then seeing a face that's only familiar from the last couple of days. That must be, really
Yeah.
important.
And it was interesting at the finish line, if you like, the official finish of the West Island Way. There's a bar, restaurant, and people that you've been with for those 7 days, if you like. You sit there and you see them coming in, so you go out and say congratulations. So it was like
Oh,
a little sort of family for the week, but all on your separate journey, but doing it together, if you like.
yeah.
So
It's like a pilgrimage with different start times.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. And so those were the best parts,
Yeah.
even despite the shocking weather.
Yeah.
What were the most challenging parts of this last week?
I think definitely Loch Lomond, because although it appears to be flat, you're sort of along the like a cliff edge going, and you're not even traveling maybe 1 mile an hour, because it's that arduous because you're going up, down, and you're not moving forward. And that day, the rain was torrential. I had a 20 miler to do.
Oh my God. God.
Yeah, it was. I got up and I set off by 6:30, and I did pretty well. I'd done sort of 10 miles by midday, and then the last 10 were just horrendous. And
oh my God.
But it wasn't just me. Everybody was sort of the same. I think people underestimate Loch Lomond. It's kind of skirted over in the tourist books, but yeah, it was pretty tough. Maybe the weather.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm definitely marking it off my bucket list and saying, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
And how are your feet holding up and your toenails? I'm just thinking, from my running days, pounding the pavement for miles, it takes a major toll on your feet and your toenails, especially. How are they holding up?
Yeah, I had a few blisters which I treated straight away, and they've sort of held now. So yeah, I'm pretty all right with my feet, to be honest. Obviously you have different, as you walk in. Anyone who's done long endurance events knows, like, you get different pains at different times throughout the day. So it'll your knees to your feet to your back to your you just carry on
and just spread.
Yeah.
And are you able to rest now that you finished that first leg? And when do you pick up your kayak and start that part?
Yeah, so 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Oh my gosh, no rest for the wicked. My God, I was expecting you'd have like maybe a day to sleep. No?
I think if you stop, then everything starts aching. So it's a case of stay in the pain zone and crack on. I don't want to get too used to heating or beds or anything
comfortable.
Yeah. Stay uncomfortable. I mean, I will dry off tonight because I'm in my van.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to get some. But I also changed to my kayak kit, so I'll just have me walking kit and warm kit for the night, and then I've obviously got my my kayaking clothes and me buoyancy,
like wetsuit type thing.
Yeah, so I'll be in that every day, really. So.
Okay. And how long will you be kayaking? Is it another 6-7 days?
If the weather is good, and by weather I mean the wind is not, because the Loch Ness is like a sea, so you can get 3 to 5 foot waves on there.
Oh wow!
So I won't paddle that on my own. So if the wind is low, and it doesn't matter about the rain really, if the wind stays down, then I could do it in 4 to 5 days. But if the weather's bad, then I'm gonna have to just like hunker down on the beach and wait till the wind passes, really. So it's hit and miss on that. Just because obviously you can walk through virtually anything, apart from like a storm, but kayaking is probably, because there's water involved, the most dangerous state.
I was just gonna say there's danger. I mean, you faced danger a year ago with walking. That was unexpected, and you banged yourself up really badly.
Well, I've got my kayak's got a swim line, and I attach myself to my kayak with my tow rope as well, because the biggest thing is if I did fall out in that water, it's it's very cold, and also losing your boat is so I've got a swim line fitted, and I'll be attached to my kayak, so and I'll also wear although it's deep, I'll wear my helmet the whole time, because you just
you never know.
You're coming into land, and you just catch a wave, and you're over. The last thing you want is to smash your head, really. So.
Again.
Yeah, it's been smashed a lot of times. That's probably why I don't do these things.
I don't mean to laugh at your misfortune, but because I know you chuckle about it, but Yeah, we really got everything crossed for this trek being injury free.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And well, I'm excited to hear what happens when we talk to you again after your next part of this trek. The what should we call it? It's like a triathlon, but
Like
with water. Well, I suppose a triathlon is with water. I'm going to edit that out for sounding like a complete idiot.
No, it is.
It's a different kind of triathlon involving a kayak instead of swimming.
Yeah, a lot of people have said it's like a triathlon, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just talk about in this final phase for our episode today. This is one of a 3-part show that we're going to do with Gina. I just wanted to finish talking about your dedication to service and stewardship. And this last year, you were honored with a couple of awards, and I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about that. And then I wanted to speak a little bit more specifically about your commitment and delivery of service. But tell us what else happened this last year. You were honored for your community service, your charity work. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I kind of thought after winning the Soldier and Honour Awards in 22, that was it. You know, that was kind of a pinnacle. But last year, somehow I won Volunteer of the Year with the English Veterans Awards, and then just last week, and it was a total shock that the email actually went into my spam. I was honoured with an award from the Prime Minister and the government, which was called the Point of Light Award, which is
incredible.
It's a proper award, an official award for my service to veterans charities and that direction in my life to try and help the military community, really.
Mm-hmm. I remember seeing that when it came up on a post, and I was like, oh my God, that is, I mean, there's reaching the top and then reaching the top. I mean, that's just an incredible tribute really to you for all the work that you've done.
Yeah, well, I was invited was it yesterday? A couple of days ago to actually go down and meet the Prime Minister and all that regalia, but unfortunately I had to decline because I was
up a mountain
still paying to this Scotland Free, which is a bit like, oh,
it's the irony. You're like, I'd love to come and accept my award in person and meet the Prime Minister, but I'm up a mountain doing it again.
That was pretty much it. I was like, oh, do you think I could get a train down to London and then come back up? And I was like, no, I had to decline it, unfortunately, which was...
That is, it just kills me, Gina. That sums you up to a T.
Yeah, I miss out
on who declines meeting the Prime Minister except for you? You're like, no, I'm on a major walk. Yeah. No, can't make it.
Hopefully invite me back. You never know.
Well, I hope they invite you back.
Yeah.
But tell us why this is so important to you. And I know you've got 3 charities that you're supporting this year. Tell us a little bit about those charities, and also just why this is so important to you, the work that you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm supporting 3 charities. SAFA, the Armed Forces Charity, which is a military charity for serving and veterans and family. And then Woody's Lodge, which is, again, a military and emergency services charity. And then ACT UK, which is, I'd say, a youth charity, really. They provide opportunities to the young that potentially wouldn't have that opportunity, normally in adventurous training like what I'm doing, or or in bursaries for other qualifications. So the two veterans and military charities are really, because of my background, and the more charity work I do, and then because I'm ambassador for Woody's Lodge and Purple Warriors, which are both veterans charities amongst another couple that I am, they when I go and meet the veterans and chat to them, it shows me the impact that when I'm out here raising money or raising awareness for these charities, the actual impact it has on people's lives. So that drives me on. A lot of the time, you might see me occasionally in a dress at some ceremony or when, because I'm a judge on Soldier on Awards now, and you get to meet these amazing inspirational people. But it's when I'm actually in the thick of it, going to the lodge, meeting people. I mean, I'm a veteran myself, so I know where they're coming from, and it's great to be able to. Not that I need to pay back, or people have asked me to pay back, but it's I'm in the position where I can do something for good for other people, because veterans out there are really struggling. So that's really important to me. And then the children's, or the ACT UK, because I was a cadet myself, so it's a cadet charity, so it mainly gives money to the cadets, which are 12 to 18. And I've seen the opportunity that the cadets has given to people who are not as from a stable social economic background, and they don't discriminate. So I put a cadet on a course who was potentially maybe going in a wrong direction, and then she went away on a climbing course which was funded, and then came back, and it totally changed her life. She then was into climbing. She became an assistant instructor, and then and then travelled the world. So these opportunities, they're life changing. So all of the charities I work for, I think, are life changing. Woody's Lodge saves lives. Sapphire's definitely saved lives. So and ACT UK helps the youth to better their lives for the future, be a better part of society, really. So they're all three amazing charities, which is what spurs me on, really.
Gosh. And thinking about that, I can't imagine, some of the experiences the veterans have gone through, the things that they've seen and feel. And also, as you say, for young people that might be trying to find their feet and just not able to get a firm grasp because of all the pressures of being a young person these days in social media. So to have these programs like the cadet programs that you talked about and have that support and funding is just so critical. So I think that's, amazing. And so you have a GoFundMe page, and I've included that in the show notes. And you're also on a number of other social media. You're on YouTube. You said you're now on TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but yeah.
Which is good, though. I mean, you've got to be. And so I've included that I've included your main sites in the show notes. And I really highly encourage people to follow, especially Gina's daily video updates on YouTube, which have been terrific. I mean, they're just stunning. If ever you wanted to visit Scotland, if you don't listen to the pain part of the story, you just look at the beautiful surrounding, this could be like a tour. This could be an inspiration for traveling to Scotland. But
you can get hotels along the way, so you can do it that way.
You don't have to sleep rough. Yeah.
Right.
And how much money have you raised, do you reckon, in all of your charities over the last several years?
Well, if I include, so
it's a lot. I know it's a big number. That's why I'm asking.
It's going to be in 300,000 if I include pre-2021.
That's just incredible. That's just incredible.
And when you think about it, I mean, I'm saying that for myself, but I can't believe it myself, really.
I feel, I don't know. I just feel in awe of you. And I've known you for a while now, quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a number, I think last year when we were getting ready to do the first podcast, and I saw a number published on one of the articles written about you. And I was like, I did a double take. I was like, oh my God, that's a big number. That is a huge number for one person to have influenced. And it's even bigger now. And I'm just in awe of you, because what you're doing is so incredibly hard. And it's also lonely. There's a lot of isolation in it. So I think it's taken a lot of physical strength and a lot of mental strength for you to achieve what you're achieving for other people. And I just really wanted to say that. I'm just, I'm gushing a little bit, but I'm very chuffed for you. And I think you should be really proud of what you're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think next week's definitely going to be lonely, but and that's another thing that I'm big on is mental health, because I'm an ambassador for a mental health organisation. So that's one of the reasons I'm doing it solo, is to try and highlight that loneliness really is one of the biggest killers. So yeah.
I saw one of your videos. I think it was either yesterday or today, and you were talking about connection. You were talking about loneliness, but then I think the takeaway was how important it is for people to find connection, whether it's with other people or with nature, or maybe even with animals. I know you're an animal lover as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And as I was saying on that, the times I felt the loneliest was in the times where there's the most amount of people. It's when you're in a crowded room, but you're on your own, which is quite stark, really, because in the middle of nowhere, I felt okay, but when you're in a crowded room with people, with friends, and they're laughing, that's when you kind of, the disconnect's the biggest impact, really. So,
I get that. I can totally understand that.
Definitely reach out to people, and be people, really.
Yeah. And I think that was just it was an important message that you gave for people to think about others, who may not have friends and family around all the time. And, how that might feel for them, having to still carry on and integrate, but actually being surrounded by strangers effectively. That can be really hard. So I did really appreciate that message. I thought it was important. And as we wrap up for this first session, this first part of the 3-part show, is there anything that you kind of learned about yourself this week that surprised you? Anything, that you just kind of thought, oh, I didn't know that about myself, or anything fun or unusual that you've kind of learned this last week?
But I've kind of been through a lot, so it's I guess that I'm definitely getting older, because things aren't as what they were. So maybe
the aches and pains are a bit more persistent after 100 miles. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I need to give myself be a bit easier on myself at times, I think. Definitely moving forward. But I have.
So maybe not 300 miles next year, maybe just 150.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone keeps saying you've got to keep getting bigger, so I don't know where to go from this.
Oh my God. Who are those people? These are people that sit at home in the comfort of their armchair, really.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think so.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So yeah.
Well, thank you for giving us some time on your journey. And I'm so glad that you're doing it in shelter and you're not outside freezing your butt off. But I really appreciate, and I'm going to include a picture so you guys can see Gina and her woolly hat, and which hopefully is keeping her a bit warm. But we will pick up with you again, I think, is the plan after your kayaking. I think as you're transitioning to your last part of this 300-mile journey onto the cycle part. So we will we'll join you again on that phase, and we'll talk more with Gina and hear how her trek is going.
Definitely brilliant. Thanks for having me.
That was Gina Atkinson, everybody, doing the Scotland 300 solo trek challenge, 300 miles across Scotland. That's a lot. And stay tuned and make sure to follow us. In the next couple of days, we'll be releasing the next installment on this show, where Gina will share with us part 2 of her extraordinarily grueling trek across Scotland, and this will be the kayak part, nearly 100 miles of kayaking. Stay tuned.